Here it is.
Here it is.
The official podcast begins.
Oh boy! Here
Here
it
it
is.
is.
Yay.
Episode
We did it.
39. We're chugging along now. I think we've had almost,
Has it been that many?
not with all of us, but close.
Okay.
Close.
It's
Close.
still an impressive amount of episodes.
We've
for
probably had
anything really.
20 or something with the four of us. It's pretty. We're chugging along.
Pretty impressive.
So today we're going to be following up our discussion with about what we were talking about last week, because we kind of didn't have a conclusion, and we also had to kind of wrap it up and end because of our schedules. This week we want to revisit really quickly, just so there's context for people who might only be listening to this episode. But if you didn't listen to last week's episode, I would highly encourage everyone to go back so that they can get kind of a more in-depth on how we all are approaching and thinking this problem through, because today is going to be more about the solution to the problem, because we didn't have one last week. Actually, Pickles and I had to figure out how this is even going to go down, because before we even decided to talk about this, I was ready to move on to another subject, because I didn't think there was a good answer. But thankfully Highly and Pickles was like, no, there's an answer. We should talk about it.
We should at least try to find one. You know?
Yeah.
Pickles knows what's up.
And there, it isn't, the way we're going to answer the question is unfortunately not the answer maybe that answers the direct question or the direct problem we were bringing up, because I don't think there really is a good solution to solve, how do you fix an entire platform? But what we can talk about is how you can fix your stream and how you can approach your content so that this problem, you're not contributing to the problem. That's why I titled the stream "Be the Change You Want to See." I know it's kind of corny, but also it's obviously the right attitude to take in answering this question. Because if a lot of streams on Twitch are bad and most new viewers are running into bad content, the only way to fix this is to be kind of competitive with each other in raising the bar of what a stream should be, and have a good stream. And the reason I thought this wasn't something we should talk about was because you guys are already great streamers. You don't need this. You don't need this advice. But I think Pickles was looking at it from the perspective of what should other people hear. So there's two audiences for this, really. There's the brand new streamer and there's the long-term streamer. But I think the answer is kind of the same here. So the first thing I wanted to kind of talk about, let's maybe direct our conversation towards somebody who's never really streamed before. What would you say is the most important aspect to wrestle with before you go live, so that you don't end up having a garbage stream? What do you think's the most important? Is it the visuals, the audio? Is it your personality? What do you think's the most important thing?
I think my answer, either seriously or whimsically, is going to be the same, and that is why are you doing this?
Your why?
Why? What is it that you're hoping to get out of it, right? Because that's going to dictate a lot of everything else that comes afterwards. Is
Sure.
Why do you want to stream, right? If you've never done it before, what is drawing you to this endeavor, right? What is drawing you? Is it creativity? Is it the need for community? Is it financial? Possibly is this a financial endeavor? I think that's the kind of things you have to ask yourself before you ever turn on the camera, because if you don't know where you're going with it, I promise you it'll be a lot harder to figure it out on the fly.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you
and
have
also
no idea.
it'll also temper your expectations for disappointment if things don't start going your way and you don't know why you even started. It can be very frustrating for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
True. True. I like it. Meats, do you have anything? Is your answer the same?
No. I mean,
No.
all those are really good points. I think if you're asking more just okay, you've already decided you want to stream, what's the most important thing? My opinion is audio, because that's what people are most likely going to engage in, even if it's passively, So I think you should really prioritize having a good sounding setup. Number
So
one.
assuming that the person is
Personally.
like already, because they're interested in streaming, they may already have like some level of not like performance on camera handled, and like they want to stream, so that's maybe like enough of a goal.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking of it from a perspective of like not the je ne sais quoi, right? Because that's something that I mean you can't really yeah, be personable. Like I feel like that's kind of an obvious thing, but if there's something that you need to, like, don't be a potato
Don't
or
be
be a
weird,
literal
yeah.
potato, and that's interesting. But
I think they're both right answers. I think I think those two things are the most important, and it's really hard to figure out which one's more important. I don't. Maybe you shouldn't go live without both of those things being handled. Like,
Sure, but I think the thing that there have been plenty of streamers that I really like and have enjoyed their streams, except they sound like they're screaming in a tin can, and I
okay,
cannot engage with them.
this is a
So
good
if
point.
and if you struggle with audio or like you're not having good audio, have good closed captioning at least. Honestly, I wish that there was better good closed
There
captioning
is,
for Twitch.
there is.
I've seen it, but I feel like
It's
it's not
not the extension.
good.
It's not the
Oh, there's
extension.
better ones.
Yeah.
I should
No,
really
it's
do
built right
that.
into OBS.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Is it kind of like the PowerPoint closed captioning, or is it?
It just uses like the built-in OBS closed captioning, and it sends it to the little CC button on Twitch. So that you just
Okay.
click that. That's the best way to go right now. The extension is like a giant block that people have to like configure,
Yeah, it's
and
not
it
good.
covers the entire bottom of the screen, and it shows you like the past 5 minutes of conversation. It's terrible.
Now, does it automatically happen, or do you have to turn it on in OBS?
You have to enable it. Yeah, there's settings you have to set up,
Mhm.
and you need a prop. This actually goes back to the audio thing, because if you have your audio properly set up, you can do it well. You can do it well. You need like a soundboard
Yeah.
or a Samsung Q2U or some
Yeah.
kind of thing. Even just a general USB mic will work. But to your point, so I think stepping stone wise, the goal is important. But let's say you have a good goal, like you know why you're doing this, but your audio sucks, right? So it's like they kind of go hand in hand. Like if you know why you're gonna go live and why you're gonna be a streamer, and you have these perfect goals all lined up, but your audio sucks. Like,
Well, I think like bad audio is a weak point, a weak link for a lot of streams. Like,
true.
I feel like the average person would go into a stream and just expect bad audio. So if you want to start standing out amongst the bad streams, good audio is a good place to start.
It is.
You
Yeah.
know?
And
also
raising the
think most
standard on
people-
Twitch.
Most people haven't really heard their audio setups. Even streamers actually, a lot of them just don't monitor and don't really listen to what they sound like. So
Yep.
the first time you go live, yeah, you're definitely not going to know how bad your audio is until you do it. So the best part about starting out though is you do have that wiggle room to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
And
And you
just
you
set
don't
that
have to
up,
spend
and
a
you're
ton
not-
of money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it
you don't.
doesn't have to be as good as like what I would argue ours is.
we all have
Our
the
audios are-
soundboard.
We have very similar.
We all have
setups.
these like sophisticated
Yeah.
setups. And,
Yeah.
You can get good USB stuff with software.
Mhm.
I will say the one of the big changes in audio quality for me was being able to hear myself, so that's a lot harder with the USB mic.
Q2U, Samsung Q2U.
Yeah, the Q2U will do it.
It's like $70 or less, $55 if you can find it on sale. There's plenty of times it's on sale on Amazon. I have YouTube videos on the IQ channel on how to
Yep.
set it up and make it sound perfect. There's a
swear we're
Q2U
not-
right there. Highly and Pickles and Snazzy. Snazzy's using a Q2U. They're using the XLR, but it sounds just as good over USB. And
I have a soundboard.
Eater meets. Well, no. So do they. They're using a soundboard plus the Q2U, and Eater meets and I are both using the BCD1, and this is not an expensive microphone either. It's more expensive than the Samsung Q2U, but it's not like, you know, Sure,
Also, I swear,
SM7B or something.
we're not actually like Samsung like employees. We're not
No,
skills. This
no.
is literally just
No,
this is
it's
me
not
recommending this
sponsored.
microphone. It's a really good
It's
microphone.
a great microphone for the price, and you'll never need a better microphone than that. You can hear
Oh yeah,
yourself.
this will do you forever. Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you plug your headphones into the mic and it's
Yeah.
powered over USB, you can hear yourself exactly like we are all listening to ourselves on soundboards. It's not quite as sophisticated as using a soundboard, but that also gets rid of the problems of needing to learn how to use a soundboard because it's pretty complicated. There's a lot of knobs and stuff to.
And sort of piggybacking off of that, what I will say as somebody who resisted listening to them monitoring themselves for a long time because it was distracting, do that. Learn to
Listen to yourself.
learn to listen to yourself, but more importantly, learn to like go back and watch yourself, which I can't do it personally. I have a problem with that. But like
Do it
No,
anyway.
seriously. Yeah.
Well, you have people
Be-
who watch
it's
your
a-
stream for you and give you feedback.
Well, yes, but not everyone has that luxury, right? You have to
Yeah.
have some degree of self-criticism involved, and that involves listening to your voice. That involves listening to recordings. That involves looking back at the VOD and going, "Wow, look, my video is crap. Maybe I should do something about. Maybe my compression ratio is off, or whatever. Like
In what
there's so many
industry?
things you could do that are free.
And there's no version of the entertainment industry where you don't self-critique. Dancers record themselves, they watch themselves dance. You know, singers record themselves, they listen to them sing. You have to go through this process, and it's so important for streamers to take it seriously and do this as well if you want to be a good streamer. But going back to the main 2 points, audio is key, and it's one of the easiest places to make sure that you have a good experience. And I think this goes to the next level of audio. Why a soundboard is good is because then you can hear what the stream hears, and you know exactly how loud the game sound is. The amount of times I've gone into a stream, and it's like I can't even hear the game. You know, people are playing a story-driven game. There's a ton of dialogue, like Last of Us or something, and you can't hear the game at all. Like, it's so quiet. And it's not quiet to the person streaming. It's just quiet on stream because they're different mixes. You don't have... but a soundboard gives you that one-to-one. You know exactly how loud your voice is compared to the game. And it lets you go, hey, you know, right now there's a cutscene. I can turn it up for the stream, and I can let the stream hear.
Yep, being able to
Just
do that in real time.
move a
is
knob up.
lifesaver, yeah.
And be, oh, I like this song. You know, bump the knob up or the fader or whatever it is, and it's
There
instantly louder.
there are some video games that are notoriously bad with that, like where one moment it'll be shrieking loud and then the next moment it's
Oh,
like
sure.
dead silence.
It's like
Being able
watching
to
a
change that on the
commercial.
fly. Yeah, like watching a commercial. Yeah, being able to change that dynamically is a lifesaver. So.
There are plugins and stuff you
Would
can
recommend.
use, but you really have to learn how to read the meters in OBS. I'm actually going to be making a video on this
Yeah.
for the IQ
Yep.
YouTube channel, and I'll post that when it's done. That's actually the next video that I'm working on.
And that should really be part of like your pre-stream checklist too. And I know I'm guilty of it sometimes. Is like if your Windows updates, sometimes it'll like default your audio back or it'll mess with stuff.
Yeah,
So
I had
you
to deal
always
with
wanna
that
make sure that
yesterday.
you're able. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens
Ugh.
all the time. No matter
So
what
you always want
microphone.
to make sure you're. Yeah, you always want to make sure that you're checking everything. In particular, you should have that what's it called, equalizer, with the stereo lines, and it's lined up when you're making sounds.
It's the volume
so
mixer?
It's easy to
Just the meter.
visually
Yeah.
check.
meter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the little meter.
You want your voice to be like in the yellow,
Yellow.
slightly red, and you want everything else to be green and under. And if it's too under, this is why I'm making a video on it. People don't know like what they're actually looking at. They see this giant green line, but they don't realize that halfway down the green line is like a 10 decibel difference, which is a massive difference in volume.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
10
very
decibels
big.
is a lot. 5 decibels a lot. Just the yellow section is 10 decibels, and it's much smaller than the half the green. So it's actually harder to read it and get an idea of how loud things are. That's why ideally the soundboard is best, because you can monitor it, and it's not like different at all from what the stream is hearing.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's what you hear. That's what your audience hears, and there's no
But definitely, Raggedy did bring up that point that sometimes it is the software that's messing it up, right? Right, like the
Yeah,
OBS
sometimes,
is
yeah.
not, and that's why monitoring it visually there is really important too, making
Yeah.
sure that things are set up appropriately. And that's
Yeah.
the hardest part, honestly, is all the pre-work and getting
The
this
hardest
set
part,
up to go.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about camera? You guys don't think camera's that important?
Nah.
Not as much.
Because you can stream without one, right?
You can stream with that
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
As Highly and Pickles and I proved earlier this week or last week, what was it? You can stream with a PNG.
Yeah, PNG too.
Yeah.
You can stream with an image up, and it'll believe me. People will not only flock to that, but they'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't realize this is the kind of thing that I was into. Like it's dressing it up will
it's not
you
a-
awaken something in people. You know.
we don't. When I do PNG tubers, I'm not like leaning towards the VTuber thing. It's mostly just like memes and stuff. Like when
Oh,
when
yeah, no,
Snazzy and
I
I
know.
just streamed on Sunday with Blur. We each had a PNG tuber, and I framed it like we were all our faces photoshopped onto Gundam pilots, and I framed them in like a video call opened up, so we were
Yeah, yeah.
talking to each other in a video call.
So
silly.
going
But
back
like
to the
it-
first
That kind of stuff.
thing, the goal that you guys were talking about, having your why, like why are you doing this? That actually answers a lot of the technical stuff for you, right? If you want to stream Valorant, you don't really need a soundboard because there's no cutscenes, right? You're not going to need to adjust things midway through. You don't need a crazy fancy setup. You need a good mic. So that having your why actually helps you kind of like dictate some of these things. If you're going to stream League of Legends or Counter-Strike and that's your game, you don't need a crazy setup. But if you know you're going to stream a lot of variety and you're going to stream a lot of games with cutscenes, or you're going to stream retro where it's very, very difficult to like know how loud a game is for your audience, and some of these games have crazy dynamic range, especially like Metal Gear Solid games and even like Bayonetta and Devil May Cry and games with like a lot of action that's kind of loud, and then you go to a cutscene and for some reason they're not quite as loud. You want to have more sophisticated control over your setup. So, I mean, I do feel like you should answer that why question so that you can really get your setup nailed down. Because if you know that the kind of streamer you want to be is just, one game streamer, then you're good.
Well, but also like if you know that if your content relies solely on a single game, right? Then you know that you may have to dress up everything around it in
That's
order to
true
keep
as
it
well.
fresh, right? Because eventually people are going to get bored of seeing the same game. But if there's other stuff that's going on, it gives people something to look at, something to talk about. So that you have to know why you're doing things, because if you're just blundering around trying things, that's cool and all. You definitely want to try things, see what works and what doesn't. But if you're just kind of aimlessly just throwing stuff at the wall, it's you're statistically less likely to find something that works than if you tried a structured approach, like actually knowing why you're doing things and why you're trying things and what you want the end result to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you throw stuff at the wall, at least keep track of what you're throwing at the wall.
and give enough time to see if it sticks.
Yeah.
True.
That's
Yep.
true too. A lot of people will quit something like 2 weeks in.
Well, like Twitch has these analytics now. Like if you go to your stream summary, like you can scrub your entire VOD for different stats, like chat messages and viewers and
Mhm. Yep.
reactions, follows. Like you can break it down pretty granularly
Mm-hmm.
over your stream and see like, oh, when I did that, I started to see like a heavy dip in whatever.
And honestly, like Twitch now has like that little react button too. Like you can literally
that's
ask
true.
people for feedback.
I don't like.
You can literally ask your audience for feedback.
I don't really like the limited options in there though.
I mean, it's in its infancy, but there's also, I think, no shame in asking somebody, like not just the audience. If you have somebody you trust, be like, hey, can you stop by the stream and tell me what you think? Like, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Just having a second pair of eyes on it is, you'll sometimes they'll see what the blind spot that you're missing. So
Okay, so next topic where we can give people advice so that they can stand out and not be garbage. branding. This is this is something that most streamers don't even think about at all. Like they like never even they'll even like it takes them a long time. They become partnered and then they keep going a little bit and then eventually they'll be like I think we should brand my stream. Like how long does it take top streamers to actually? Some of them still don't. Some of them still have the default stream alerts from Streamlabs or Stream Elements. Like there's just
The little zombie running around.
Yeah,
the
the running zombie with like that blue-green text.
yeah, we all know it. And the same sound that you know like
Yeah. I think people hear the word branding and simultaneously like overthink it and underthink it. Like it's mostly just like consistency, in my opinion.
yeah, well, it's cleaning up your stream and giving it some of personality, like your own personal touch.
Yeah.
It's like your room, right? Like if your room has nothing on the walls, or like did you move in and just like let someone else put stuff on the walls? Because that's kind of what you're doing when you just like slap the default. Like I don't know, do you go to IKEA and just buy the room that you see?
Yeah. No,
Right.
that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do
Yeah,
personally.
it's like you have the IKEA room. I think, or you go into a model home and you just like say, "Can I have all this art?" Like, um, I think just going that little bit extra level and putting the effort in to have some like customized alerts, and maybe
And also-
adjusting the colors just a little bit and the fonts, things like that.
Also, if you're like me and terrible at colors and stuff, please have somebody who knows what they're doing look at it.
Right,
Because
hire somebody.
because you don't know nobody. That's not true that nobody, but most people don't like clown barf. Like just
Right.
like have some consistency in your stuff. And honestly, like I will 100% I recommend a starting soon screen. I know there's
Oh no,
a
the
hubbub. Oh
controversy.
no! Yeah, teach the controversy. Have a starting soon screen. It'll help you tremendously to have something for at least like a couple minutes where people can come in and they don't have to necessarily jump into you immediately, and you don't have to jump into the stream immediately.
Yeah.
You can ease into it. I am 100% a proponent of have a starting soon screen and have it be as long as you need it to be. Don't listen to those people who are like, why would you have a 10-minute? Why are you wasting 10 minutes? Because you need those 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's why. That's the answer. So.
Because you want to.
'Cause
It
you want
doesn't
to.
matter. Dang it. But I totally
Yeah.
agree. I think having, even just basic, when I think of like, suburban moms making flyers and like there's 6 different fonts and stuff, and it makes you want to puke. Just have a little bit of consistency, right?
Right.
Pick a font, pick a color scheme, and kind of just, stick with it.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Yeah.
Take it first.
And you can change it later if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't have to be married to it.
Right. Or
But,
if you
that'll
really
feed
like it,
into your emotes, it'll feed into your starting soon screen. Just kind of have it, just committing to a style and using it for a bit, I think is really important.
and obviously this is we practice what we preach. We've all got fonts on the screen, and we've all been through my branding session. So I did make a YouTube video workshop a few years ago on how to sit down and make like a branding board for your stream. So if anybody's looking for that, just go to the IQ. I'll post it in one of the IQ forums later today. It's already
Go
in
to your
there.
VOD and just like hold paint swatches up on it.
It's
and,
actually
like,
not
look
on the
for-
IQ channel. It's on my channel on the Sunny Machine. There is a branding and fonts guide for Stream Elements on the IQ YouTube channel. So this is all free. Just go there and watch that, and maybe watch my like 2-hour workshop on the free software and programs you can use to go choose fonts and colors and get yourself a branding thing that you can just see. One of the nice things about getting your branding set up is if you pick fonts and you pick colors, it's like a palette that you get to then paint with. You get to go over, and instead of being like, you make an alert and you're like, what font am I going to use? That's settled. Just use your brand, just go grab the brand you decided already. Now make the alert more interesting. Don't you're going to spend hours like trying different fonts and flipping them and, what about this font and what about, that's not where you want to be creative, people. You want to like have that settled and move on, make the alert itself more fun and make your stream more
Yeah.
fun. It's not more
Yep.
fun if you just have like oh, I used this alert and it has this font and it took me 6 hours to pick it, right? That's not a good use of your time.
No, it is not.
Yeah, I think the like alerts are kind of undervalued because, like we said, so many people use the little running zombie, like
For
GIF
everything.
or whatever for everything. But like, just that little change does a lot to tell people what to expect from like the tone of the stream as a whole. You know, like I have a lot of stupid memes of video game characters recreating other memes, like 2 layers deep, and people know kind of my sense of humor from
Wow.
just that, you know.
You barely ever see the zombie running. Really? I see it all the time. I'm checking out
Yeah, that's
streams
everywhere.
all the time.
My thing did a thing. Anyways,
It's really low effort to change, and I think it goes a long way for making your stream feel more unique.
Yeah, spend an hour once.
an hour.
And then
And
you-
just
and then
begging you.
copy and paste settings.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of go to the next level and start doing like rotating alerts too,
Mhm.
right? So like, we have like 3 or 4 different follower alerts, and
Yeah,
then one thing
variations.
that's really popular is having bit alerts that are associated with certain amounts too. So
Mhm.
it'll encourage people to engage in
Tip,
that
bit,
way,
everything.
too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Variations are a good way to expand your stream.
Yeah, I have 100 variations on one single alert.
Okay, that's
That's a lot.
awesome.
That's high. That's a lot of effort. You don't got to do that much.
Yeah, that might be a little. That might be a little. overdone.
Do you have like different percentages for each of them? Like the chance it'll happen? I guess if it's
Oh, yeah,
100, it has to be
absolutely.
1% for each. I don't
Yeah.
know how.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
absolutely.
a short, like 2-second clip of audio, and it's a 25-bit alert. So it's kind of just like putting in a quarter and seeing what happens.
So one of the things that I see a lot of people, probably the mistake that they're making when they're streaming, is they stream too much and they do so little to do this other stuff we're talking about. You know, like they'll stream for 10 hours every day and they still have the same alerts that they've always had, and they have their camera still looks bad and their mic still sounds bad, and none of this other stuff gets improved. And then they get exhausted from, 40 to 60 hours a week of streaming for 5 months, and they're like, oh, I don't know why I'm not growing. One of the key things here is, if you want to stand out and you want to make an impression that is more lasting on your audience and on people visiting your stream, it's not about how long you're streaming. Nobody's impressed that you streamed for 10 hours straight for 40 hours a week, because the new viewer that comes in doesn't know you just spent like 200 hours of your life streaming the game. They see the stream in the moment for what it is. And if your camera's bad, your mic is bad, your alerts are lame, or just the basic alerts, that's what they're going to judge you on.
Yeah.
No,
If you
absolutely.
do something wrong for 10 hours, they're not going to go, wowee, that's 10 hours well spent.
wow, we.
And most people aren't going to be watching you for 10 hours.
No.
You know, that just
And
doesn't
if they are,
happen very
kudos.
often.
They're the real
That is
MVPs, really.
impressive. Don't you have better things to do with your time? No, unless it's on in the background, that can happen for sure. But like,
Oh, like I said before, I'm sure we've all babysat some cats or something like it.
or
that's just the thing
sleeping
you have to-
people.
or
like,
or
you
yeah,
get rated in, and
yeah,
there's
yeah.
just people that are asleep, and then the
Asleep.
next day they're like still in your chat. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Ended up on the raid train. Yeah.
And a lot of the people listening to this are already the kind of people that like do this stuff, right? Like a lot of the IQ people, they joined IQ because they already fiddle with things, and they're interested in making their stream better. And so like we're preaching to the choir a little bit, but we also understand how important this stuff is, and we want it to kind of, the thing we wish is that this stuff would be like a virus in the streamer community, and people would realize that if you don't do this stuff, you suck, right? Like this is what makes you a bad streamer, is ignoring this kind of stuff. And when the stream next to you is bad, that doesn't mean that you're going to get clicked on. What it usually means is that the people are going to leave the platform. there's no way to make the person go from that bad stream to your stream. You know, it's just hope. You're just hoping. It's a gamble that they'll move over to yours and be like, oh,
I
this
wouldn't even
one's
say necessarily bad. It's just boring. That's the real crux of it. It's there are some streams out there who
good. Can we fix
uh,
boring streams?
yes, absolutely.
I don't know, dude.
I have one of the simplest fixes for a boring stream. Talk to your audience. There's so many streamers who just don't talk to their audience and they just sit there and play a video game. Like that's not
Yeah.
really why you're there. And if that's why you're there, then you're not really streaming. You're just kind of sharing yourself playing a video game. There's a difference.
Yeah, when you're
Streaming
streaming, you're
involves
hosting a show.
interaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot of people say, I don't know what to say. What you say is just what
That's
you're
probably
thinking.
because
like
you're
just,
boring.
Yeah.
Maybe
Let
you're
whatever's
just
in your
boring.
head flow out of your mouth. Ask rhetorical questions because somebody might answer them, and that'll start a conversation. Like there are little things you can do to just make the stream more engaging that take very little effort.
Even if you're, quote unquote, a boring person, there are ways to be entertaining.
Or just become a less boring person.
Or, just talk
Yeah,
to
there are
people.
ways to just become interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's just being worldly, or and one thing that kind of I wanted to bring up that is around this too, that kind of differentiates Twitch sometimes from some of the other platforms, is there's not as much. What's the term? I guess not continuity, but if you watch YouTube, there's like challenges and like things that a lot of people do to kind of be part of the community as a whole. And TikTok, there's dances and like things that people will engage in. And I think that
True.
a lot of the stuff Twitch tries to do, but a lot of the streamers don't engage as much in that. So like Twitch Rivals and
The
those
meta?
types of things. Yeah.
So we should embrace
feel
the
like we
meta
do-
more.
We should. If your
So
goal,
hot tubs. Where was the hot tub streams?
well, that did happen for a while.
Well, I mean,
Remember, like
you
people
did
would
one?
meme the hot tub streams.
I mean, you
Right?
can do one
Yeah.
as a joke. You can literally
Yeah.
put an overlay of yourself in a hot tub and call it a hot tub stream.
True. True.
You know,
Okay.
I wouldn't say the thing. I think where we get it wrong is we call it the meta. It's not really the meta. It's the culture.
yeah.
It's the culture of the
That's
platform. I think.
but the culture calls it the meta. That's what the top streamers call it.
Right,
Yeah.
but when they say the meta, they're referring to specifically like competitive growth, right? That when they say meta, that's
to
what
a
they
degree,
mean.
yeah.
Well, like when big streamers do something, they're creating the quote unquote meta. So it is kind of hand in hand with the culture because
Yeah.
they determine what's happening next.
True.
But that doesn't mean that you have to do exactly what they're doing. Like
Right.
there's plenty of people who are disinterested in what the big streamers are doing, right? So it's just all about knowing. Again, it goes back to knowing what you want, knowing what you want out of the stream, knowing where you want the stream to go, and then you could figure out how to fill in between. Because if you're
Yeah.
just packing stuff in without knowing where you're going, you're gonna end up with a big pile of stuff,
But I think
an
sometimes
incoherent
people,
pile of stuff.
I think sometimes people are afraid of like doing stuff that they've seen other streamers do. Sometimes,
Mhm.
like
That's fair. Although what I would say to people is, don't rip somebody off, but definitely take inspiration
yeah.
from others.
Yeah.
Like there's no shame in that.
Well,
Like,
there's like the old adage where like I don't know if it's an adage. People say like there's nothing original in the world anymore, and
True.
they use that as like a cynical outlook towards creating things. But the truth is, the things that are original are things that were taken from something else and then put their own personal spin on it.
Yep.
Like that's what makes things
Yep,
unique and
makes it original, yeah.
interesting. And like one of the questions I asked as we were gearing up for this particular episode was like, what does a good stream look like, and how do we make our streams better than that? How do we learn from that, like innovate forward to make something more interesting, make the next era of Twitch or whatever we want to do on it? You know what I mean?
set the meta.
Yeah. How do we set the new
Dictate
meta?
the meta, the new meta.
True. So
we like all of us, everybody here, is part of Twitch culture. So,
True.
I mean, we have the agency to change it, however we see fit. You know.
Yep, I agree.
So this don't be boring thing is actually really important Um, and I've had people, I've had clients, and I've had people that I've had like they are boring, and I've had to try and like coach them through not being a boring person, and it's not easy on some people. Some people are just stuck being like kind of boring. No matter how
But
much you encourage them to open their mind, because one of the things that kind of goes with creativity is trait openness, right? And like you can't make someone have a higher level of trait openness all the time. Some people can. You can kind of coach them or coax them into being more open and creative. But I've had people that it's like no matter how hard I try, they just take hardcore stances on things, and they're really closed opinions and closed mind doesn't allow them to reach out beyond that, right? So like I'll tell somebody you should play the Resident Evil games because it would be good for you in this moment, it'd be good for your personality, it could be good for your community. There's all these good reasons for you to go through the Resident Evil series, and they'll say I hate those games. I'll
Hate
say so go hate play it.
Yeah.
hate watch it. Yeah.
Like the whole point of streaming is to create a shared experience. you
Yeah.
know?
But also, like, there is like if you know that you're, I don't want to put this in a negative light necessarily, but if you know you are deficient in certain categories, right? If you know that you're not good at talking to people, right? Let's say hypothetically you're not good at holding a conversation. There are other things you can do to sound and be interesting. Put on cat ears. That's immediately more inherently interesting than what you were before, right? Get
a
light up
cat.
cat ears. Get a cat. Yeah,
Get
put
a
a cat
cat.
cam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
That'll.
like, sorry, you
Okay.
finish your thought.
No, I'm saying a cat cam. A pet cam is literally the
Yes.
like the
Oh my
easiest
gosh.
engagement bait ever. There's
Yeah.
a cute animal on screen.
True.
Somebody
Yeah.
will comment on it. I
Love
guarantee
cute
you.
animals.
Absolutely. Well, like for me, I know that I am not a high energy person by any degree. So what I've done is I've made aspects of my stream like make up for that. You know what I mean?
You're not a low energy person either, though.
Right, but I just like I have a very monotoned voice. I'm generally very calm.
But like
Like-
you should see his alerts.
But
They're
like,
bombastic
I
as
have
heck.
things like
Like-
I have channel point redemptions that throw up jump scares that may or may not get me, and I put them on for a Halloween event and then just forgot to disable them, and now they just kind of
Still
keep
there,
going.
yeah.
So they're just like little things that I have put in here to make things happen to me
Yeah.
that I think are more interesting, or that help me be more interesting. You know what I mean?
That
and
is true.
that's great. That's a really great point. Is like finding things that your community, your chat, people will want to have interact with you if it's even not just conversationally. You know, whether I mean I've got like sunglasses and
Fake
various
mustaches.
fake mustaches and stuff. You know, it's just things that they feel like they're part of the community. I think is really important. But I wanted to go back to Sunny's point about kind of the leading the horse to water to be entertaining. You know, it's about mindset. Everyone can be passionate and entertaining in some size, shape, and form. You can find your community, but you have to have that growth mindset of being able to, like Sunny said, look back at your streams to be able to be thoughtful about how you're interacting with people, how you seem, and what changes you can make and sustain to engage, right? And that's not something people like to hear, right? We like to be naturally good at everything, but no one's naturally good at everything.
Yeah.
Some
You-
of us are
you also have
entertaining.
to-
Some of us are good at games. It's just, you
You
have
to
to
be
work on
open
the
to
things.
change
True.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be able to look at yourself and go like, if after a certain amount of time something isn't working, even if you're in love with a concept, sometimes you got to look at a concept and go, no, this isn't doing it. I
Well,
got to move on to something else.
My point with
So-
my point with the Resident Evil thing wasn't to say, there's like a small deviation between the person who's willing to play Resident Evil even though they don't like the game because it would be good for their stream and good for their audience and it would be a good time for other reasons. Because it's like you're just closing that door because it's all about you and your gameplay experience. And it's like
Yeah.
That's not what a stream is. You need to kind of
Well,
like
it's like-
step back and be like, okay,
Like
maybe
like
it's a
Pickle
good thing
said,
if
you're
I
putting
hate
on
this
a show.
game. Yeah.
You're putting on a
Yeah.
show, and that show doesn't necessarily. In fact, actually, I will go so far as to say is that show very often will not have things you like.
Oh,
Yeah.
That-
Very
that
often, that
plays
show
so-
will
Oh my
have
God,
parts
yes.
that you hate
yeah.
and that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And you just have to accept that.
Do you think Jared wants to get in a bath of beans?
Now listen,
I don't know. Maybe he does.
you
Yeah,
know,
he probably
I don't
does.
know.
He
He's
likes
done
it
it so
now.
many times. It's a pattern at this point.
Well,
Um,
he didn't want to eat cicadas.
Yeah.
Cicadas is something that happened to him.
Yeah.
He created a memory and a shared experience. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
what streaming is
Yeah.
fundamentally.
So this is what I
Like
mean
if
is
you
this-
watch like if we take it to like YouTube channels, like there are plenty of channels where people like host a show, like we'll say Good Mythical Morning, for example.
Mhm.
The show is those two guys sitting at the desk, and then things happen to them, and they're reacting to
Yep.
what's happening to them. They're not like sitting there and just enjoying themselves while you watch them enjoy themselves. You know,
and it's
They're
and like
creating
it's the kind of
something.
it's the kind of mindset of like if you're going into a stream thinking like it's all about you, it's all about your gameplay, and you're not putting on a show, then maybe you shouldn't be streaming. Maybe you should be making videos because
Yeah.
that sounds exactly like something a YouTuber would do. Like,
yeah.
you know, you and again that goes back to why are you streaming, right? Why are you doing this particular thing and not something else that you might be better suited to?
True.
It just harkens back to an experience that I had at a Who concert. The Who.
The who?
The
Who?
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 Who? And this was like 15 years ago or so. Oh God, I'm aging myself. But I remember near the end, they played Baba O'Reilly. We all know that song,
Oh yeah.
the Teenage Wasteland song.
Yeah.
And the lead singer went into like this 2-3 minute diatribe of how much he hates the song.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I've told this on the pod. I might have already, but that's okay.
This
And-
happens to a lot of musicians.
But
Oh,
then
yeah.
proceeds to play it because that's what we
That's
want.
what the audience
We
wants.
want to
the
sing
audience
Teenage
wants.
Wasteland.
Yeah.
I
But they
guarantee
hate
you,
it.
every musician who has like
Yeah.
a big hit that
Yeah,
that they're
hates
known
it.
for hates that song.
Yeah.
Or
Enter
or
Sandman.
or after 10 years will end up hating that
Yeah.
song. Yeah, I'm
true.
sure James Hetfield is just chomping at the bit to play Enter
But they don't
Sandman
hate the
one more
paycheck.
time. No, they don't. But
They don't hate the paycheck. So
Well,
So I
I
mean, if
think-
you're doing it completely self-centeredly versus you're doing it to actually be entertaining, right? You're going to do stuff you might not want to do or do things that are redundant to be entertaining.
But that trait
That's your
openness
guitar.
thing I'm talking about is just like allowing yourself that little wiggle room so that you can find a reason to say yes to it, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a huge difference between I don't want to play Resident Evil games because I don't want to do that to myself, and oh, well I could hate play them, and
Well, I
that
think
might
that's
be
even-
fun for my audience, right?
It's even broader than that. It's like don't close yourself off to experiences. Like it doesn't matter what the experience is. And also like just just try new stuff on your stream. Doesn't even have to be like the content of the stream necessarily. Try changing the format around. Try streaming shorter hours. Try streaming if you can more times but for a shorter time. Or if you're doing that already, try condensing it down. Try streaming for longer but for fewer days. Like there's a whole birth of things that you could do
yeah.
You
to
could
try
split
to mix it
games.
up.
Okay,
you
quick-
could split games. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen a lot of streamers do that.
Quick side note.
Actually, within the modeling community, just a quick side note. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
big thing. Where people will paint or assemble a model for the first half of their stream and then play Valorant or Fortnite for the second half.
Mhm.
It works for some people. Might work for you.
Okay, so that guitar sound you guys were hearing, your mic arm has those springs on it,
Yeah.
and if you brush against them, they will make a springy
Mine's like a-
guitar-like sound.
Like a bass.
Someone did it. It wasn't
It's
me.
me.
There
That was
you
me.
go.
Okay.
That was
I
me.
Okay.
was like, what is
Pro tip.
I thought maybe your cat had like walked on a guitar.
Grab some
so-
electrical tape. Grab some electrical tape and wrap it around one end of the spring, and it won't do that sound anymore.
Mine does a little bit, but not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
I
but
have to
yeah,
go pretty hard.
but
on
if you
it.
use
You gotta
electrical
really-
tape,
you gotta
it mutes
really
it.
get it on it.
It mutes it. So if anybody has a loud mic arm, just use some electrical tape on the spring.
Was that an actual guitar just now?
No.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So working on your stream really comes down to like You have to be motivated, and you have to have a good reason. This is what Snazzy was talking about in the beginning, Pickles too, with the why. Why do you want to do this? It really is kind of like a good foundation for everything else. Because if you don't have that answered, you're probably not going to care enough about any of the other stuff we're talking about, and that starts with you. If you want, I don't know how you can ever expect your viewers to care about your stream if you don't care about it. Right? Like it's a little weird to expect other people to care about something that you don't care about at all.
Yep, absolutely, and it'll show. If you think you can hide not caring about it, you're wrong.
Why
let me
do
tell
it
you
if
right
you
now.
don't care? Why?
Yeah, and
why
also,
even do-
well, yeah, that's an entirely separate question. Why do it
Delusion.
if you don't care? But like, people are very sensitive to that kind of stuff, and if you're not having fun, it'll show. No matter how good of an act you might think you're putting up, it will eventually it'll dawn on the audience that you are not having a fun time.
Yep.
Well, no,
that's
sometimes
okay.
it's okay to
That's
not have a
okay.
fun time if you're being angry.
That's true, but if you're very clearly
If you're giggling.
unmotivated for the stream
Yes.
and you're just showing up to show up because you feel like you have an obligation, viewers will inevitably go find someone that isn't like pretending like this is their job. Like that isn't sitting there like just waiting for the hour to click by so they can log off, right?
Well, the flip
Like,
side too is that if you can get so caught up in all of this stuff that you become kind of a perfectionist, and then you get really frustrated if you make mistakes on stream. So we might want to address this really quickly. Um, don't beat yourself up when you screw up on stream. Like if you become angry and you don't want to be an angry person on stream, if you want your audience to forgive you, you have to. It's the same thing. You have to forgive yourself, right? It's okay. Like it's a live medium. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna say the wrong thing. You're gonna do the wrong thing. You're gonna have the wrong attitude someday. You're gonna stream when
Something
you
will
probably
break.
yeah you shouldn't. Your stream is gonna have problems, and you're gonna be live, and you're gonna have to deal with it while you're live, and that's just the nature of the beast. We've all
You're-
been there.
Your
Oh my
camera
God.
will freeze, your microphone will cut out,
Yeah.
your
It's not the
Twitch
end of the
will
world.
disconnect you for no reason. Stuff like
We
that.
all know
is gonna
that
happen.
picture. We all
Yeah.
know that picture. Then.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, why
Yeah.
is it broken and I'm live right now? I just want to play the game.
Your level of self-consciousness has to lower a little bit.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. No, and like you have to recognize the things you can't really change much too. Like my voice. I have a very nasal voice, but like that's just my voice and I hate it. But like other
You can
people
just
don't
embrace
seem
it.
to mind it. So you just deal with it, you know? You just kind of have to realize that some of the things you can't change. Or if you do make mistakes, just laugh about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, play it
Yeah.
off. Play it off.
Have a good time on
Absolutely.
stream, no matter what.
If you laugh it off,
you
they'll laugh it
swap
off
to
too.
the wrong scene, like be like, whoops, well, like, definitely just roll with whatever happens.
And
because
those
it is a live medium.
Those
It-
mistakes can actually give birth to like fun ideas on purpose, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you swap to the wrong scene once and then you're like, "Oh, that's dumb." Like and then maybe you're like, "Oh, it would be kind of funny if I set up a wrong scene on purpose." And like swap to it once in a while and be like, "Oh my god, just like showing my closet with my underwear or something." Right? Like yeah. And it's just like a
Do you have an
meme.
underwear cam?
Yeah,
I-
yeah, yeah.
Listen, you know
Yeah.
how many times I've seen a streamer who has like a zoom in like scene for their rants or whatever, and they'll switch to that, and then they'll forget they're in that scene and go
And
back,
then
to,
go
the
back to
game, and
playing
they're
the
like
game. Ah,
super
shit.
intense, but all you see is the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laugh about that. Do
I have a-
hell.
I have a zoom
I
in
would say
cam.
do that on.
I've left
If you
it
can
up.
sneak it in and act it off, do that on purpose. I guarantee you, somebody will be like, "Oh my god, I can't see the game," and then
Yeah.
that opens up so many avenues for you.
Yeah.
I just
And then go to a
Sometimes
zoomed
make
in
mistakes
game
on purpose.
scene where it's like super zoomed in on the game.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then just joke about yourself being a professional streamer. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
just be like,
Pro streamer.
I'm a pro here, guys. A pro.
Yeah. I listened to the
Professional
IQ
streamer.
podcast. I did my branding. I got my
Yeah,
alerts. Yeah.
Never screw up, never scuffed. Always
Never.
professional.
No scuff. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Yep. So I think basically what we're trying to say is the problem that we discussed last week was not something that we can fix, but what you can fix your stream. And we want to encourage people to try to figure out that. Is there anything else that's like really important that you think a lot of streamers kind of skip, especially when they're first starting out, and then they never get to it, like a year later?
Like just starting out, I don't know.
What's something that's is there anything else that's easy to miss? You know, I think I think like it's really easy to stream like at 1080p 60 frames per second at like 300 kilobits per second, and then have a potato stream forever and not realize that
Yeah.
people aren't watching because they can't. What are you showing them, right?
If
Like,
somebody plays Returnal like that, it's
Yeah.
just all pixels.
my favorite is that they'll stop playing, they'll look at their stream, and they'll go, "Looks good to me," but they don't realize that the encoder like loves when something's not moving. So like
Yep.
it gets crystal clear if you just stop doing anything in the game and go look at your stream, and then you go back to playing the game, and as soon as you start moving, it's just like a pixel soup again, and it's just so potato.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to go back and watch the VOD, right? That's why you have to do that
Yeah.
because you probably will not notice otherwise.
This
or at
will
least like
go ahead.
know that you need to be moving for like that particular issue.
Do you
Like,
think
spin the
streamers need
camera
to
and
learn
whatever.
about how this technology works a little bit better? Like, I think that would help if they
I
understood.
think they just need to hire someone to do it for them.
Being knowledgeable to any degree is a big help.
How much does
Speaking
knowledge
of
play
work-
a role? Do you think?
A lot.
Yeah.
Like OBS itself, like knowing how to set up OBS.
Yeah. Well, the more
Yeah.
you know about like
Partly.
OBS and stuff like that, the more you can play with it. You
Yeah.
know.
Okay, so
The more you know how cameras work, the more you know how audio works.
a lot of people
the
will just
more-
grab Streamlabs OBS and be done.
I mean,
with it.
and yeah, but again, we're talking about people who in an ideal world
Love
want to
it.
improve their stream, right? Not just don't want to be stagnant. So, if you want to grow and improve, yeah, that means doing stuff that everyone else isn't. So
not using Streamlabs.
You
Not
have to have a
using
test, like a test profile, right? I think.
Oh, this is a
Because
good one.
That's the fear, is that you're gonna screw everything up.
Okay, let's
And
explain that.
happen-
Okay, you want to create an account on Twitch that you can go stream to that no one is following, and that is just for you to take your settings. You duplicate your profile in OBS and your scene collection, and you enable it on your test account instead of your main account. You go live for 10 to 20 minutes. You ask for someone's help to go watch the stream, and you say, "Hey, can you come check my test stream out, make sure it's okay?" And you make sure the VODs are turned on, and then you go back and you watch that thing, even if it's just for 10 minutes, and you go, "Okay, it looks good, it sounds good, my stream looks good." This is actually really important. It's very easy to skip this and just go live on the main account and never fix anything.
No, you can also have different profiles on your OBS as well.
yes.
So you want to make sure that if you are fiddling with something, and you're
Yep,
able
duplicate
to
your
just
profile, name it something
duplicate
else,
your
yep,
profile, fiddle with it there, so you don't mess up your original profile.
Yeah,
That's the worst.
And then move the
Let me tell
settings.
you.
If it looks good and sounds good, move the settings over.
Yep.
Yeah. True. Oof.
I
Oof.
have a burner account.
It's a burner account. Yeah.
Yeah. That way I can just like go live and screw around just to test stuff. We've done it
Yeah.
a few times before.
And if anybody
Yeah.
finds that account, you just nuke it and make a new one.
Well, a lot of the okay. How important is the bot?
Like stream elements.
Like
or-
like having a chat bot and like having commands and interactions with your stream.
I feel like that's like standard. Like you need one of those if you're gonna
Yep.
be streaming.
Okay.
On any serious level, yeah, absolutely.
For
Yeah.
shout outs, for
Yep.
channel commands.
Even just the basics. Like if
Baseline,
you
yes,
don't
okay.
have just the basic bot connected, like even I think the average viewer would tell you you need to set up a bot. And they'll probably recommend like Nightbot or something, but
Yeah. Stream elements, I think,
need
is still the
something.
best
yeah.
for everything. You just grab stream elements, use their alerts, use their bot, all of that. I have videos
I
on that.
I have a Frankenstein like Nightbot, and then I have a like streamer bot and stream elements, like all kind
So
of patchworked.
What about a
together.
more sophisticated bot like Streamer Bot?
I feel like that's like the next step up. Like if you're
Yeah,
just
that's a bit
starting out, make sure
complicated.
you have
Stream
stream
elements,
elements.
yeah.
But I would say streamer bot would be the next upgrade. Which
yeah, when you're ready to move on, yeah.
low commitment since it's free.
Yep. And it does everything.
Yeah.
Someone's mentioning that they have a low view count or are using certain apps for it, and I think actually I would argue when you have a lower view count, then's the time to make those big changes and mess with
Yeah.
stuff and make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because then, as you grow, it's already fiddled with.
Yeah, you don't want
so
100
Yeah.
viewers and you don't have your bot set up.
fix it now
Yeah.
if you have time. Fix
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah. Because the lower viewers, the less people are gonna be concerned about change.
Yep.
Because that is a big thing from a lot of viewers, especially if they've been around a while. Is people don't like change, just generally speaking. So
Well, let's talk about like the last thing to wrap. I think we can wrap the whole thing up with this, right? Because we only have a few minutes left, or we have to stop now, actually. But this would be a good closer.
Okay, bye.
And Snazzy, if you have to leave, you can just leave. It's fine. But
Yeah,
the thing that I find most helpful for everything we've been talking about is we can tell you all day, you need to do this, and you should focus on this, you should think about these things. But for you personally, you need to find the why and have a good motivation for doing all of this stuff. And be competitive. Get competitive with people around you. Watch other streamers and go, man, that guy's killing it this way. Have a competitive mindset and make them your rival. Like, go make it your goal to have a better stream than them, and do what they're doing better than they are.
But not in
steal
like
all
a
their viewers.
be a jerk way.
No, I'm
Be
not
like
telling you
an
to go in their
actual-
stream and be their rival in chat and stuff. It's a mindset.
survive out of spite.
well, like
just,
nothing motivates me more creatively, whether it's like fixing stream or doing music or doing art, than seeing something I liked not follow through on what I liked about it.
Mhm.
So then that makes me want to go back and do what I wanted them to do with my own spin on it to
Mhm.
make it like exist.
Yeah.
You know,
Mo-
it's something I want to see exist.
There's
so
a
I wanna
healthy
make it
level
happen.
of competition that needs to arise in you so that you can be competitive in this space and be like, okay, I'm going to spend an hour today making my alerts way better than Highly and Pickles
Yep.
alerts. You know,
That's a tough ask.
it is.
tough sell.
But you know what? Reach for the stars, get to the moon kind of thing, right? Like, if you weren't making any progress at all, it's okay to have a lofty goal and only move an inch, because at least you moved that inch, and you wouldn't have otherwise. I think motivation is key. I'd love to like make my body perfect by going to the gym all the time, but if I'm sad that my body isn't perfect because of the gym time I've already put in, that's not the motivation to go again, right? You're like, oh, well, it's not working or something. No, I have to keep going. You have to have a good reason to make these improvements and approach like your stream from that mindset of like, I'm going to do better than other people. I think there's a level of healthy competition that you can kind of swarm up in yourself and use that to make your stream better.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts, Snazzy?
Seriously, don't be afraid to try stuff. We joke around, shoot for the moon, because in the vacuum of space, no one can hear you scream. Like it's literally that. It's like, try stuff, especially if you're just starting out and you don't have an established thing and you don't have an established audience. Try stuff, because that's the best time to do it.
Pickles?
Well, I said it in chat, but it's kind of going back to the idea of like when your stream inevitably has to make changes and that people don't like changes, just communicate with them. Tell them like, okay, I know you liked this, but we have to take it away because whatever reason, X, Y, Z. Like, people are going to be more on board with you removing the thing if you tell them why you have to remove the thing rather than it just vanishing.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And
much
some
more
people still
jarring.
might be upset, but
Yeah.
do what you got to do.
But as long as you have like open communication about things that the people who watch your stream like, it'll be fine. You don't have to ask them for their opinion or consent to do stuff to your stream, but as long as they know what's happening with it, yep, it'll probably be fine.
Meats.
You know.
Always have a growth mindset and don't sound like you are garbage.
Wow.
Don't be trash.
Don't sound like garbage. Back to audio. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube,
Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notifications button. Thank you.
Every time. Sounds good. I like it. Bye, everybody.
we're
We
still
should start
live.
rating.
We're still live. I can raid somebody. Should we raid
You
somebody?
should
Should we?
raid someone.
Give me somebody.
I don't know.
I'll find. It's fine.
Skeleton Man is on. He's
Oh, is
streaming
he?
Pikmans.
The great skeletonman.com.
Skeleton Man
The man of the skeletons.
with this
The
skeleton
Great
arms.
Kevin Man.
The great skeletonman.com.
All right, I gotta get going,
It's
but
a
I'll see you
real
guys later.
thing. All right.
Bye, Snazzy.
Bye.
Bye.
Raid the Sunny Machine. Thanks,
Kind of
TJ.
self-serving. Like, let's raid my stream. Wait.
Intended for mature audiences, everybody. Just make sure you're a mature audience member.
Nope. None to be found here.
All right, see you guys. Okay, now the great
We don't have a
skeleton
raid
man
call though.
has been raided.
What are we gonna say? We didn't make a raid
I don't
call.
know. I need to make this like.
Is it the full folks? Was everyone
He's
there
asking if we're
tonight?
all here, so let's just say I don't real fast.
Guys, if you don't know the Infinite Quality Podcast, that is a podcast with Sunny, Pickles, the full crew. Yeah, Sunny, Pickles, Meats.
I'll
and
turn on affiliate
Snazzy.
and get the
And they do it
IQ
every
emote
Wednesday. It's
rolling.
like an hour long. I was on it before. You should follow it. They talk about streaming. They talk about a lot of different stuff. If you're interested, they're the people for that. Guys, thank you for the raid. I really appreciate it. It's my first time ever playing
I didn't mean
Pikmin.
to disconnect. Just turn off
Meats,
the
hi.
stream.
How you feeling? I know your surgery wasn't a big deal, but you still had it. How are you feeling?